In this section, we're going to go over the installation of MongoDB in a Windows environment. So if you're using OS X right now, hey, no problem, continue on to the next section where we'll continue with the course. If you're still using Windows, stick around, let's get to it. The first thing we need to do is install the MongoDB installer. In my browser, so I'm inside of Chrome right now, I'm going to do a search for MongoDB. And the first result that's going to pop up is, of course, mongodb.com. I'm going to go directly there. It's always really interesting. Their page loads amazingly quick. Very impressive. I don't know what they're doing, but very, very fast loading page. Anyways, on the very top right hand of the page, I'm going to find this download link and click it. This will take me to the download page for all different installations of MongoDB and all the different associated tools. Once I'm here, I'll scroll down just a little bit and I'll find under the Community Server section and make sure I'm on the Windows selector. Now once here, you'll notice that the pre-selected version is Windows Server 2008 64-bit and later. So this is a little bit misleading right here. Even though it says Windows Server 2008, this is still 100% compatible with both Windows Vista, Windows 8, Windows 10. So if you're on Windows 8, Windows 10, you're good to go with just selecting this right here with the default selection. So I'm on Windows 10, so I'm going to go with this selection. Let's say download MSI, and that's going to download the installer. And it's going to take just a minute to get. Okay, very good. Once I've got the installer, I will just basically click through. So we can do next, accept the terms. Of course, if you want to read it all, feel free to go for it. And then once you get to this complete or custom installation, we'll go with the complete selection. And then last step, just go ahead and click install. If you get any user account control prompts, of course, just let it on through, and the actual installation will take just a moment. Once it's all done, finish, and that's pretty much it. I gotta tell you, the installation on Windows is a lot easier than it is on OS X, or at least in my opinion. There's just one last little piece of setup that we have to do. In my browser, at the thank you for downloading page right here, I'm gonna go back to where we were just a moment before, where we've got the download link. So here it is right here. Right underneath the download link are some installation instructions. So there actually is one last little piece of setup we have to do, and these installation instructions are going to help us out with getting through it. So from here on out, the directions that we're going to follow are exactly as listed on this page right here. So if you get lost at any point in time, you can feel free to come back here and make reference to the setup listed. Now we've already downloaded and installed this Community Edition thing, so we're going to go down a little bit more, a little bit more. Aha, here we go. So run MongoDB Community Edition. This is what we're looking for. I'm going to go to step 1 right here, and it says set up the MongoDB environment. Very important right here. MongoDB requires a data directory to store all data. This is one of the many big gotchas that we're going to find with MongoDB. So by default, when you install Mongo, it installs the database on your machine. But you have to give MongoDB an actual location to store all the data that we are going to try to insert in it. And that's what it's referring to here with this data directory. So by default, it wants to stuff all of the data that we're going to try to store inside of MongoDB into a folder called data/db. Chances are on your operating system, you do not have this folder already exists. So we need to make sure that we create this folder so that MongoDB has a place to stash all of its data. So to do so, we'll follow the exact directions that are listed here. I'm going to start up a command prompt by hitting the Windows Start button, and then I can just type CMD and open up the command prompt, like so. Once I've got the command prompt open, I'll follow the directions listed on the page by writing make directory /data/db. Okay, not too bad. The next thing we have to do is start up the MongoDB server. So if I scroll down a little bit more, and I'll get to the Start MongoDB section. This part is awfully important Okay, so this is the one thing in this course that's going to be a little bit troublesome as we go out throughout the next 10, 12, however many hours that we'll be talking about Mongo. Depending on your operating system, like whether or not you are on OS X or Windows, you will be starting up MongoDB slightly differently, okay, slightly differently. If you are on Windows, as you are right now, like of course you're on Windows, so no problem there. To start up MongoDB, you are going to run this command right here, or this string, inside of your command prompt, okay? The reason this is so important is that for everything inside this course, like everything, every last section, I will always assume that you are running this Mongo server, or your local instance, your local copy of MongoDB. I'm not always going to be saying specifically to you like, hey, make sure you got MongoDB running. So sometimes it's going to be up to you. Like if you step away from the course for a couple days and close out the command prompt, you are going to have to remember to start up your MongoDB instance again. Okay, so this always has to be running whenever you're working on this course. So it might be a good idea to copy paste this thing or bookmark the page so that if you ever need to come back to this command, it'll be real easy to find. So that's kind of caveat or big gotcha number one. Now there's one other big gotcha. Okay, one other big gotcha. If you look closely at this link right here, you'll notice that it has 3.2 in this string. So at the time that this particular video was created, the latest version of MongoDB was version 3.2. If you're taking this course at some point in the future and you just installed like MongoDB 3.3 or something like that, this link or the command that you're going to run to start up MongoDB is going to look just a little bit different. To confirm which version of MongoDB you have installed, it's really straightforward. We're going to open up a file explorer. I'm going to navigate to my C drive. I'm going to open up my program files directory. Inside of there, I'll find the listing for MongoDB. Here it is. I'll open the server folder. And boom, right here. This is where you're going to find the version of your installed version of MongoDB. Okay, so you might be something slightly newer. Hopefully you are at least 3.2. So now I'm going to take this link right here. I'm going to copy the whole thing. I'm going to take it over to the command line. I'll paste it and then run it. The very last line that I should see at this point in time is something like waiting for connections on port 27017. If you don't see something like this, if you see an error, then the first thing to do is make sure that you've got the correct version listed in that string that we just pasted in here. Okay, so if you are on a version besides 3.2, make sure you update it in this link right here to correspond with whatever version you've got in your MongoDB server directory. If you do have the correct version there and everything does look good to you and you're still getting an error, feel free to make a post in the course's discussion and we'll do a little bit of troubleshooting to figure out what's going on. Okay, that's pretty much it. We've got MongoDB installed. Not too bad, right? The last thing that I just want to remind you, anytime you're working on this course, you need to make sure that you've got this command prompt open and that you have ran this MongoDB command right here, or this MongoD to be specific command. Okay, let's continue the next section, and we are going to install a little helper tool that makes it really easy to work with MongoDB in a development environment. So I'll see you in just a second.